So, it's been a while since I've done a normal blog. For those of you who've been watching, I've normally been sat on a toilet or out and about somewhere doing a blog. This time I'm back in my little room talking to you about something which has certainly been over the internet a lot recently. I don't think it made it to the news, but a few of you will be aware of the whole wearing purple thing, and probably, I would imagine, don't have much of an idea about it. If you do, great. If you don't, then it was because there's been like quite a few deaths recently connected to like homophobic bullying, and I say it's related to homophobic bullying because, well, it is, but there's kids taking their own lives because they're getting bullied about being gay when they're not actually gay. Makes no sense, but no. So I thought that I would tell you a little bit about my thing and what happened to me. I came out when I was in high school. I came out mainly in my second high school, because I went to two, not at the same time. The first one I went to, I won't name it because I don't know what it's like now, but when I went to it, I presume it's the same. It was really, really strict. You had to walk on the left-hand side of the corridor, and they had kids in the middle of the corridor, making sure that you stuck to the left-hand side. You know, and if the head teacher saw you, if he knew your name, he knew your surname, so he'd refer to you to your surname. He wouldn't actually stand around and talk to you or nothing like that. And it was very, very formal, and I don't think I responded well to that because I didn't enjoy my time at that school. Anyway, so I moved to, after 2 years of being at that high school, we moved house, and I moved into my new high school. I didn't actually move in, I started going there. And I was amazed, how different it was, because the teachers that were at the school, they would talk to you like a normal person, and if you had any problems, I mean, they used to say it in the, assemblies and all these meetings and things, however you refer to it, but they always used to say, smoking's bad, they used to say that, but then they would smoke, so it didn't really matter. But they used to say, if you have a problem, feel free to go and tell a teacher. But the teachers were that informal about things that you actually felt that you could go and talk to the teachers, any of the teachers. And certainly about 99% of them, you wouldn't be afraid to go and talk to them. If I needed to go and talk to a teacher about me being gay, I'd say there was 99% of the teachers in that school, I felt fine. I don't have to worry because I don't think they're going to say anything bad to me. I don't actually think I did. But, nevertheless, the school that I went to, the second one, was really, years ago, it was a really, really rough school, and I was quite lucky in the time that I went there. They got a head teacher that was kind of still new to the school, but he was changing the school round from what it was. And I remember once there was a boy who, after I'd come out, I mean, what happened was I told a friend, who told a friend, who told a friend, who told a friend, and it just ball rolled, and it totally went out of control. That's how I first came out. And for months and months, I knew who I was. I knew mostly about myself. I was sort of still getting to know my personality at that point. But all this bullying was going on. I mean, some of it was homophobic. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there was times when I would walk down a corridor, and I remember turning round, and someone said something. I can still see his face now. And as I turned round to walk off, he spat at my back, which was kind of a little bit disgusting. I remember feeling totally disgusted at that. And a little bit upset, because I thought, well, this shouldn't be happening. This is wrong. So, like, after that happened, I went into the lesson, and I just said to the teacher, I'm going to see the head teacher. There was no, like, can I? It was just, I'm going. So I went off, and luckily he was in his office, and I went in and just explained to him, and I showed him. And he was absolutely disgusted at that happening. And, you know, like, I don't remember exactly what happened that afternoon. I remember I went back off to the lesson, and I wasn't really talkative that afternoon. Like, I was in school anyway, I didn't talk. But I went back off to the lesson, and the next thing I knew, it was the next day, in the morning, and the head teacher came and got me out of my lesson, took me to his office, sat me down, and just, I remember him, like, sort of leaning on his table and just saying to me that he'd heard what other kids have been saying around the school, and that if I ever had any problems, then just to go and see him, and he would deal with it straight away. And like that, my confidence was boosted, because you immediately felt supported, like really supported. And like, I think the boy got like suspended for like a week or a month or something. So it was nothing major. Like, it wasn't a massive incident and that, and I didn't suffer any injury, but you know, it's something that happened. That's homophobic, and it got dealt with. It didn't get ignored, and it was really, really, really like just a massive confidence boost. So, you know, I felt I could go around about like myself normally. Anyway, a few months later, and my mum didn't say anything to me on the day, but in the morning I got pulled out of the lesson and sent up to go and see my head of year, and as soon as I went in her office, it was a little tiny, narrow room, I remember that. And my mum was sat on one side, next to my head of year, and I sat on the other side. It was like being interviewed for something. I was really getting nervous at this point. And the head of year said to me about being bullied in the school. And this was in front of my mum, and I was like, oh, totally mortified. I really didn't know what to do. So I did the only thing I felt natural to do at that point and denied it. I said, no, nothing's happening. I don't feel bad. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. I'm fine. And it took them about half an hour. And then eventually, like, I think my head of year could see that she was going to get nowhere doing it that way. So I got sent back to my lesson. My mum went back to work. And then that afternoon, my head of year came and got me out of my lesson after lunch, and took me into her office and just sat me down and said, I've heard what they're saying. I know what they're saying. Is it true? And like, I don't know what twigged in my mind, but I just went, yeah, it is. And like, I felt a little bit relieved that I was able to do that, sort of really proud of myself at the same time. But she said that the best thing that you can do is to tell your mum, because she is worried about you. Like, she knows that something isn't right. She is worried about you. You know, just go and tell her. So she rang my mum, who was in work, and like, she just said, I remember she said to my mum, it is what we discussed. And I was like, oh my god, they've talked about it. Oh shit. So I got on the phone to my mum was fine, and she said, you know, we'll discuss it when we get home. And that afternoon I was like, I had no nails left. I was so nervous. And the bus ride home, and I was sat there, and I was shaking. I was so scared. And I remember getting in, and then a few hours later, my mum came in from work and sat down at the table, and she sat me down, and she said, you know, is it true? Why did you feel that you had to deny it? And, you know, she was fine with it. Like, within about 5 minutes, she just said, well, what do you want for your tea? And it was over. And that night, oh, my God, the relief that night I felt was just unbelievable. Like, truly unbelievable. And then, like, I went through the rest of the school year, and then my final year, and yeah, things were still happening in school, and I didn't tell my mum about it, and to this day, there's things that happen that she still doesn't know about. But, you know, I thought, well, okay, I've got to deal with it, and my head of year said to me, like, at the beginning of my final year, once you're out of this school, you never have to see certain people again. That's it. You have to spend this time with them. You have to get your education, but you don't have to see them ever again after this school. And I kept that at the back of my mind, and, you know, every time there was a little snidey comment, every time that someone said that they were going to beat me up and they never actually did, it was like, well, fuck you, I don't have to see you again. And then I left school, and I've got to honestly say, since leaving school, it is so much better. Like really better. About 5 months after I left high school, I got a job. And it took me about, I'd say about a month to actually come out at that job. And it tweaked in my mind, and I was like, you know what? I don't care what you have to say. I am what I am. Like the song goes, I am what I am. I came out. Nobody had a problem with it. And it wasn't a massive firm. It was like a small office, and everyone was sort of like tightly knit. But we had the best time in that office, and everybody knew. And everyone was fine with it, and I was shocked. And I've got to say, since then, every single job that I've had, and I've done like some pretty shitty jobs. Like, I've done factory work, I've done working in a theme park, you know, bar work, every sort of job going, I've done it, and I've never come across any homophobic people in the work. Well, I have come across homophobic people in the workplace, but never any homophobia directly at me. And if people say things behind my back, they're saying it behind my back. If they say it to my face, well, first off, I respect them for saying it to my face. I'll be able to deal with the situation, and now I think I know exactly what to say back. So there you go. If you are watching this and you're going through a hard time at school or in the workplace, it does get better. Trust me, it gets better. High school, my memories of high school now, like 6 years? God, it's 6 years. I feel old. Oh. Well, 6 years on, and it really does get better. You find that you'll get friends. Like, I've got a friend who I met in high school, and we're still in contact now, and we are still good friends. I've met friends, and I've got friends from old jobs, and you find that you get the friends that aren't bothered and don't define you by your sexuality. And, you know, life goes on. And, like, yes, there are people out there who will still always think about taking their lives because of what they are. But if you know what you are and you're sure of who you are, why care what anyone else thinks? Okay? Why bother? Why would you, why would you live your life in fear of what other people are thinking? There is no point in doing that, right? The best thing that you can do is to live your life knowing who you are, being happy with who you are, and just getting on with it. Okay? It really does get better, trust me. So that's all I have to say on this before I go and ramble on some more, and some more,